Okay, so I need y'all to sit down with me for just a minute because I've been thinking about this show and I have thoughts. Them Covenant on Amazon Prime has 2 seasons, and I genuinely don't think that people have given it the conversation that it truly deserves. Like, I watched it, I got scared, some of us cried, some of us had to pause and eat a snack or watch a cartoon or something just to cope, but we persisted, okay? Now, there's so much happening underneath the surface of this show that I feel like we missed half of it. So, today, we are doing a full breakdown, okay? Characters, themes, symbolism, and just all of it, okay? This is part 1, so stay tuned. Part 2 is coming, and that's where we're going to get into season 2, which is very different in its own way. Now, fair warning, before we start, this show deals with racism, sexual violence, and the murder of a black baby. So if you have not watched it and you're squeamish about any of that, just know that what you are getting into is that serious. For those of you who have already watched it, let's talk about what you actually saw. Situation. It's 1953. A black family named the Emorys packs up from North Carolina and moves to East Compton, California. Now, Henry, the husband, and Lucky, the wife, and their 2 daughters, Ruby Lee and Gracie Jean, have a new house, new job, fresh start, and they literally just out here chasing the American dream. And the show spends 10 episodes destroying that dream, piece by piece, okay? Here's what's important to understand before we even get to the spooky, scary parts. The Emorys moved into this all-white neighborhood maintained through something called restrictive covenant. And most of you all probably didn't know what that was, but it was a clause written directly into the property deed that said legally black people cannot own or live on this land. Now, Henry signed it without telling Lucky, which is its own problem when we really get down to it. But these covenants were everywhere in mid-century America, okay? Banks enforced them. Real estate agents enforced them. Whole neighborhoods were organized around keeping black families out. We call it redlining now, and it's the reason that so many black families were denied generational wealth that white families were able to build during that exact same period of time. The show is named Covenant on purpose because a covenant is also like a sacred promise, a bond, if you will. And the question the whole season is asking is, what does it actually cost a black family to try to live inside the American promise? The answer is everything. Okay, the answer is everything. Let's break down exactly how. Here's what you need to know about Lucky, okay? Before she ever steps foot in that house in Compton, Lord, she watched her infant son, Chester, get murdered. She was sexually assaulted in her own home in North Carolina by white men while this happened, but she survived it. She didn't get to fall apart. She had 2 daughters that she had to raise and a husband who was literally unraveling from PTSD and trying to navigate a new city. So she comes into this show already pretty broken and already holding herself together through just the grace of God, y'all. Then the world immediately just gives her more. Her supernatural haunting takes the form of Chester, the dead baby. The grief she never got to truly feel because she was too busy trying to survive. And that is the show doing something really intentional. Lucky's demon is not some random evil. It's really just her own unprocessed trauma. Meanwhile, outside her front door, her neighbor Betty has organized the women of the neighborhood to sit in lawn chairs in front of the Emorys' house every single day, blasting racist music from sunup to sundown. Now, Lucky got to take her daughters to school out through the back door just to get them to the bus stop. Being psychologically attacked by her neighbors at the same time she's being haunted by grief is crazy. Lucky couldn't catch a break, okay? She represents something that does not go acknowledged enough. Black women who just keep going. Not because she's a magical being with limitless strength, but because she genuinely can't afford to stop. Like, she has people depending on her. She has to hold it together even when the floor is gone. And the finale pays that off. Lucky defeats her demon not by fighting it, but by refusing to let it consume her. So she chooses life. Now let's talk about this husband, because Henry is the character where the show really gets into the politics of being a black man in a professional space. He's a veteran, he's smart, he gets a job at a white firm, and he is determined to succeed. He wants to give his family everything. He is doing every single thing he was told to do to get ahead. His supernatural tormentor is called the Tap Dance Man. And I need y'all to understand what that name really means. So it comes from minstrelsy, from the tradition of forcing black men to perform degradation for white people's entertainment. Tap dancing for the crowd, making yourself small, entertaining and non-threatening so that white people feel comfortable around you. This demon shows up dressed in the most crazy costume and basically offers Henry a deal. Perform the version of yourself that white America wants, and we'll let you survive. It's actually very simple, right? Sound a little familiar because that is Tuesday for a lot of black men in corporate America. Okay, nothing new to see here. The pressure to be palatable, not angry, not too loud, not too much, to tap dance. Now, Henry almost took that deal. The PTSD from the war, the pressure of being the provider for his family, the grief over Chester, it all pushes him toward the edge, and it's Lucky who pulls him back, which is its own statement about how black women have historically had to anchor black men in their humanity when the world is trying to strip it away. Now let's talk about the oldest daughter, Ruby Lee. She is a teenager trying to survive an all-white school where her classmates literally act like monkeys to her face. Like every single day she's being told in every way possible that white beauty is the standard, and she just does not have it. So her hunting comes in the form of Doris, a blonde, blue-eyed white girl at the school who keeps telling Ruby that she's pretty. And here is the thing, Ruby knows something is wrong. She keeps coming back to Doris because the validation feels good. Because when you are growing up in a world that tells you daily that your hair and your skin and your features are wrong, someone telling you that you're beautiful feels like water when you've been in the desert thirsty for centuries. Y'all, this is internalized racism. Ruby has not just felt ugly, she has come to believe that ugliness is a fact about herself. And this supernatural entity took the exact form of what society told her to want to be, and it's using that wound to try to destroy her. Now, this storyline hurts because it is so real. So many black girls have sat with this exact feeling, and the show does not sugarcoat that. Ruby's demons are not in the basement. They are in every single mirror that showed her someone else's face was the standard. Gracie Jean is the youngest and honestly the most upsetting because she is just a little girl who has no idea what's happening to her. She don't know no better, y'all. She is obsessed with a character from a book that she keeps reading where a woman called Miss Vera, this image of perfect womanhood, femininity, and grace. And Gracie wants to be exactly like her when she grows up, right? And what the show is doing with Gracie is showing how early on little black girls are conditioned to see white womanhood as a thing to aspire to before she even has the language for it, before she can even understand what it's going to cost her. Her presence in the story is also doing some structural work, okay? She is what is at stake. If the family loses Gracie, they've lost a future. Everything Lucky is fighting for lives in that little girl's laugh. Now, Betty Wendell. Betty. Okay, Betty. I need to give this character her due. She's not just a villain, but she played the hell out this role now. Betty is the woman next door, the leader of the neighborhood mob wives. The first day the Emorys move in, she's already in planning mode, trying to figure out how to get them out. She organizes the women to be blatantly racist, and she coordinates the men to burn slurs into the lawn and hang racist dolls from the porch. She calls the police on them. She is relentless and she is methodical about it. But here's what the show does that elevates Betty beyond just a racist neighbor. It shows you her actual life. Betty is miserable, y'all. Her husband is distant, and he probably cheating, okay? She don't have no real power in her home. She can't leave. She is in her own way trapped by the same patriarchy that oppresses Lucky. So what does Betty do with that? She redirects every bit of her powerlessness onto the one person that she has power over, Lucky. Betty does not have power over her husband or her money or her future, but she has whiteness though. And in 1953 Compton, whiteness is enough to make someone's life a nightmare. Now, the show is naming something that is deeply uncomfortable to talk about. White women who have no power in their own homes sometimes use the power that they do have, which is racial power, against black women, against black families, instead of recognizing that they have more in common with Lucky than with the men running their lives. Betty chooses to use what little leverage she has to climb just a little higher on that racist ladder. Now, Lucky and Betty have these driveway standoffs throughout the season that are genuinely some of the best scenes in the whole show. Two women both fighting to survive, and they cannot reach each other because Betty has decided that protecting her proximity to whiteness is worth more than her humanity. Baby, I was so glad Lucky slapped the taste out that lady mouth. I was here for that. Let me get back on task. Now, the show gives Betty her own supernatural element too. The mold spreading behind her perfect wallpaper. Her whole life is rotting underneath this perfect performance, and the metaphor is not subtle. I love that for her. Now let's talk about racism as a ghost, because that is actually the whole point of the series. This is where I want to slow things down, because this is the heart of what them is doing. Every single supernatural element in this show is rooted in real historical racial violence. The tap dance man. He comes from minstrelsy, real history, real degradation. The Black Hat Man, the season's main supernatural villain, literally lives in the spot in the basement where Chester's remains are hidden. The murdered black baby buried in the foundation of the house. And the evil that comes out of that spot is the evil of what was done to him and to Lucky and to every black family that white America destroyed in the name of maintaining their neighborhood property values. The house wants the Emorys to stay, and it wants to destroy them. And that is literally America. That's the relationship that this country has with black people, built by black labor, populated by black people who were never meant to be full citizens. Can't let go, but won't stop hurting us, okay? The show is saying the ghosts haunting black America are not metaphors, okay? They are the weight of actual violence, slavery, lynching, segregation, the rape of black women, the murder of black children. That stuff does not just disappear because time has passed. It's in the walls, it's in the foundation, it's in the deed, okay? The deed of the house. Now let's talk about religion used as a weapon. The word covenant is a religious word, okay? A covenant is a sacred agreement, a bond, usually between God and a people. And the show uses that on purpose. The racist housing covenants are presented like a twisted religion, a belief system with rituals and rules and enforcers and punishments. And the white people who participate in tormenting the Emorys do not see themselves as monsters. They see themselves as righteous. They are protecting their community. The Black Hat Man dresses like a preacher, like a man of God. And he is offering Henry a choice that is framed in almost spiritual terms. Surrender yourself and you'll be spared. Keep fighting and we're gonna destroy you. The show is pointing at something that American history has documented over and over. Religion has been used as a weapon against black people, from the theological justifications for slavery to the bombing of black churches. This Bible has been used to justify keeping black people in their place. The covenant has been used as a spiritual seal on white supremacy, and the show is not letting that slide, okay? Love that for them. Now, was it too much? Because we gotta get into this graphical violence debate. I want to address this because it's a real conversation that happened when this show first came out. Them was heavily criticized for the episode where we see Lucky's rape and Chester's murder in extended detail. Now, critics called it trauma porn, said it was exploitative, and said black people don't need to relive this level of suffering on screen. And I hear that. I genuinely do, okay? Black people carry the weight of this history in our bodies already. We do not need a television show to remind us that these things happened, okay? But I also think Little Marvin, the creator, was making a specific choice, okay? He wanted to make it impossible to look away, because there is a version of making a show about racism where white audiences consume it as aesthetic, as prestige drama, and something dark and interesting that doesn't quite touch them. And he didn't want to make that show. Whether it worked depends on who you are and how you watched it. Now, what I can tell you is the graphic content is not designed to be entertaining. It's designed to be devastating. And I think that there is a difference between gratuitous violence and unflinching truth, even when the line between them is a little blurry. When you put all of this together, what you have is a show about the cost of trying to belong to a country that wrote the fine print to exclude you. The Emorys do everything right. They follow the rules. They buy the house. Henry gets a good job. Lucky is a devoted mother. Their daughters are being raised with love and intention. And America tries to destroy them anyway, because the covenant at the center of this country was never written for them. The promise of home ownership, safety, dignity, that was written for white people by default. And anyone who challenges that arrangement gets made to suffer for it. Every ghost in this show is a manifestation of that. The demons are not random. They are what racism looks like when it takes form. And the fact that the Emory family is still standing at the end, not unscathed, not unchanged, but standing, is the show's statement of black resilience. Not as a superpower, but as a necessity. Okay, that's season 1 of Them, Covenant, a show about a family, a house, a deed with fine print, and the ghost that America created and then pretended not to see. I want to know what y'all think, though. Did the show go too far or not far enough? Did Betty make you also white people and want to throw something? Because same. Drop it in the comments. Part 2 is coming, and season 2 is set in 1991, post Rodney King video, with a black woman detective inside the LAPD. The themes hit different when the racism is wearing a badge instead of sitting in a lawn chair. So, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know every single time I upload. And I will see you guys for part 2. Peace.